Hello fellow tankers, and welcome to a very quick tutorial on Steel Beasts Pro Personal Edition. Today we're just going to go over a two-part series of how to actually use this sim. So our first part here, which you have found, we're going to go over the basics, so controlling tanks and basic commands. And the second part we'll talk about kind of an operational standpoint, more complex things that you can do. So today we're in the Leo 2A6, beautiful tank. And let's get to it. So I made a little map here. If you press F5, you will see the map. All right, so very, very mapical. Very nice. This is our vehicle right here. So if we press F6, we go into the gunner station. This is the first station we're going to cover today. So looking around here in the Leo, it's pretty compact. Now, something really easy to remember in Steel Beasts is that buttons F5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are pretty much positions, while the first four, F1, 2, 3, 4, are views. So if you always press F1, it's eye view. Awesome. Press F2. You have, in the gunner's position, the main turret sight. So this is the main gun sight, looking around. F3 is often the auxiliary sight, as you can see. And F4 is sometimes a thing for commanders, sometimes gunners, it's vision blocks, but you don't have anything there, so it's nothing. Alright, so now real basics aside, let's talk about the gunner's position. So with the gunners, if we press F2, we go into this view. Again, this is your primary sight. Alright, so you can look around, you can do all your cool things. N is zoom, so you can toggle between your different zooms. Now default on is the thermal imaging. To turn it off, press the plus button on your numpad and you can switch between thermal imaging on and off. You're still in the primary sight, but you're just now using normal visual sight instead of thermal. Let's turn that back on for a sec. Beautiful. And now if I want to switch between hot and cold, it's pressing the negatives button on the numpad. Now I like the black over the white here because I find it a lot easier to see contrast like this. So yeah, you can turn around and you're all good to go. It's easier to find targets in low magnification. Now, something really important to know is this number on the bottom that says F000 alpha. Now, this is your rangefinder. So let's say we have a target spotted, our commander pointed it out over here. If I fire the gun, it's not going to hit the target like so. Alright, I press space to fire the main gun. Press control when you have your barrel slewed over the target, and you automatically get your range founding. So what that arm does is that it basically makes it so then the gun and the coax, everything else, goes onto this target. So if I press it now, it'll fire right there. Cool. Look at that. Good fire. I'm gonna turn thermal off for a second. Now press M to switch between your different weapons. So since we're on the Leo, we have two cycles here. We have the main gun. Right now we have, we're not going to go over ammo types. If you press M, switch to your coax. So the gun mounted next to the gun. 7.62 I believe. Hold that. There you go. Good for range finding, troops, everything else. And again, point off into the distance more. Let's get a good return here. Come on. There you go. So as you can see, using my laser finder, every time I get a return, I can switch so then it's more accurate. There you go. Rock on. Now, we'll talk about different ammo types in a second, but for now, let's switch over to the commander view. So let's press F7. This is the commander station, all right? So like before, F1 through 4 controls your different views. So 1 is, of course, the eye view, so you can look around your station and you can interact with buttons, everything else. F2 is your main sight. So here on the Leo, we have our little thermal sight that we can look around. And just like before, N is to magnify. You can cycle between all the different magnifications here. Rock on. F3 is your little periscope, so you can have a look around, do your own thing. And F4 is your vision blocks, which personally it's my favorite view. Makes you think of the World War II tanks. So right now we have our hatch closed. If you want to unbutton, you press B, and Q and Z control your height in this view, so you can stay close to the tank here. You can go higher, get a better view. If you press N in this view, you bring up your little binocular view here, and you can do some range finding or some looking around. It's pretty cool. It's a nice view, you know, it's a beautiful day out in clouds. So you press Z to go back into your tank there in your stages, and you can press B to button up. So if there's arty or something inbound, you will be safe. Or if it's just really cold outside, I don't know. All right. So in the commander view, you have a few more things you can do here. So what you can do is, let's just go up to here. You can switch you can pretty much tell your crew to do other cool stuff here. So in your commander view, you have a little bit more control over your tank. All right, so you can switch ammo types. You can switch, you can tell your crew to reload. We'll get to that in a second, but let's just finish off going to the next crewmate, which is the driver. Now, driver's the simplest here. We don't have a lot going on. Literally, you only have two views, at least on the Leo anyways. It's your primary view, this guy, look around, and you have your reverse view with your little dots, so you can park. But yeah, that's about it for driving. Now, if we press F8, you can see you have an external view. This is going to be really helpful for the next few minutes, so let's use this. So just like any other game, we use WASD, but we also use X, because S is halt. So W is forward. And again, you press it. It's kind of like a ship, how you command your driver forward. Press it again, fast speed, top speed. Keep pressing W. If I hold A, steer left. D, steer right. So I'm going top speed. If I press S, is halt. And if I press X, it's reverse speed. Yeah. There you go. So I can back into a tree or something. And S is halt again. And look at that. Basic controls for the tank. Beautiful. All right. Now let's go into a little bit more detail here. Let's talk about different ammo types. So on your tank, you have, depending on the vehicle, you might have HESH, Squash Head, HE, Sabo, Heat, everything else. Today we have, I believe, two different ammo types. Let's see. Yeah, we have APF SDS, so armor piercing, fin stabilized, discarding Sabo, and Heat. So, quick lesson, Sabo is basically you're throwing a chunk of metal at them. So it's like armor piercing, but it's the modern day version of that. Again, don't criticize me too much. I'm just being very, very simple here. And Heat is basically a chemical warhead that you can, it basically doesn't matter the range that you fire it at. It has the same penetration range at all ranges, but it can easily be defeated by ERA and other special elements. So chances are, if you have a far target, you want to use Heat. If you have a closer target, you want to use Sabo or whatever else you have, AP. All right. So we're going to go over these little commands really quickly. So you have your different positions. So again, your F6, 7, 8, you can just control that. You have your view. You have your formation. So basically these are, of course, your formations if you have more than one tank. I'll show you in a bit. Vehicle, you can reload. We'll get to this in a second. Platoon, basic orders, and ammo and support. Now, something to realize is that if you go back into the gunner view, so pressing F6, let's just randomly shoot off around here. But let's go into gunner auxiliary sight. Boom. With the Leo, the barrel goes up because that's how they load the ammo into the Leo. Just a little fact, it goes black on your thermal when you fire. If because of the flash blinders. Then you don't get blinded by the giant flash. Just a little bit of a hint there. Now, something to realize is that this isn't War Thunder, how your loader just automatically loads your ammo. You have something called a ready rack, and you have your ammo storage. If you look on the top right here, sorry about that, you can see that right now we have Sabo loaded. Gosh dang it, bar. And it says 2:16. 2 is how many rounds are left in our current ready rack. 16 is that ammo type total. So if I go up to the bar here, vehicle, reload, Sabo, the gun will face to the rear because the loader has to grab the rounds from here, right? So right now he's taking it from the ammo rack and into his ready rack here. Hence why we have like a little green flashing reloading Sabo, 3 out of 16. So that slowly goes up. If you're ever in a skirmish and you see a lot of tanks that look like this, it's not because they're destroyed. It just means that their ready racks are depleted and they have to grab more ammo from the front here. Well, here, because it's the Leo, that's where they keep their other rounds. M1, I think, keeps it up here, but I don't know. That's something to ask. Alright, something really important is that, as you can see, getting ammo from the ammo rack takes a while. So ammo management is very important, especially when you're in engagement and when you're dealing with a lot of tanks. So that's something really important to watch out for. Another fancy tool that you do have on most modern tanks nowadays is the addition of smoke grenades. So if I press tab on my keyboard here, I can deploy smoke, which way the turret is facing. So then if you're taking fire, deploy smoke, and you can get hell out of dodge, which is a very, very nifty tool indeed if you're trying to avoid enemy fire. Alright, so for our next part, let's talk about some complex formation commands. So I'm just going to press F5 and go to my little other tanks over here. So we have slightly different Leos here. Woo! A5s, I believe. So we have a formation. We have 1, 2, 3 tanks here. Beautiful. If I press F5, this is our formation here. I can set tactics, formation, spacing, fire control, and just general formation commands. Alright, so you can have your different formations. So if you want to set in line, you can set spacing, wide, fire control, hold fire, max engagement ranges, or fire at will. So if you see somebody, you're engaged. You're clear to engage. So yeah, so our little teammates here are going to go into their formation here, and they will now follow us. Now we'll touch more on this in our second tutorial here, but if you want more of kind of like a divisional level of control, you can do that. So if I press F5, I can issue commands. So if I select a unit, new route, engage, let's go visit our Leo over here. Left click for waypoints, right click for final. There you go. So now our troops are going to be moving in this little line and finish facing this way out into the yonder. Now to navigate the map is fairly simple. You just hold middle mouse and you can just wiggle around. Zoom with your mouse scroll wheel. Right click are options, so you can send in artillery, and left click is select. So now our Leos are following the waypoints. They're kind of doing their own thing. You can still interact with them. Again, it just depends on the mission type, if you have divisional control or if you're locked to one tank. But of course, this is our little play scenario, so we can pretty much do whatever we want here. Alright, back to our original Leo here. We can see that our support has finally arrived here. Now, again, all this is pretty much for the Leopard. If we switch to another tank, such as the Russian lovely T-72s here, we can go in, and it's pretty much very, very similar. So, like, you still have your views, everything else is pretty much the same. Now, the important thing to know about the Russian tanks is that when you fire, let's go to gunner's view for a sec. Let's get our point. For some reason, it won't fire again. That's because most of the Russian tanks actually have auto loaders. So to use the auto loader, you have to press V. Hear that going in the background? There you go. And now you can fire again, and then you have to press V. So it's just little things like that. Again, every vehicle is different. They all have their little quirks and bits and bobs. So, yeah. They all have their own little things here. The nice thing about Steel Beasts is that while you technically don't control the units fully, you can still technically use all the units. So if I go over here to infantry, I can double click here and use WASD and epically go forward here. While you can't play it like Call of Duty or anything, you can fine-tune specific units and what they're doing. So go up to these labs up here. Lovely labs. Still driving around. Again, most of the commands are pretty much the same. So if you go to F6, it's the gunner and is different zoom levels. And plus it's thermal on and off. As well as you have your auxiliary sights, and you still have your laser range finding. There you go. Alright, last but not least, same goes for air units. Like I had this in another video before, we have a CH-146 Griffin from Canada. Woo, represent. Same thing, so you can command this unit, new route, engage. Let's bring it over here with our other troops here. Now you do have other things, so you can say top speed, you can give it treetop, and yeah, and you can say dismount. So let's bring this guy up here. This purple arc here is basically where they're gonna focus their fire. So if you want to have them guard a specific pass or something, you can have them here. Black little dot to move it around, and of course you can narrow their cone of focus. Now we have our CH-146 here. We have all our backup here. We can go back to our map view. And we can tell this guy, get out of here, we can tell this guy to dismount. So some units do carry troops such as APCs, helicopters, everything else. And of course, it was really important that we got our extra tank support in here to provide cover for the Griffin. There you go. So everyone's getting out. There you go. And we should probably tell this guy to get the heck out of here. So let's just say chopper select. New route. Let's just tell him to retreat. So, without engaging. See you later. Have a good day. I've got some infantry to play with. Alright, so again, this is more of a simple tutorial on how to survive in Steel Beasts, the basic commands, and how to basically navigate the interface. Let me know if you guys want any other videos or if you want to see any missions. The next part 2 of this little tutorial series, 2 out of 2, will be more advanced things such as operational control, divisional level, a little bit more detail with missions, and that's about it. So again, let me know if you want anything else, everyone, and thanks again for watching. Have a fun day, and happy tanking. That sounds weird. Usually I say happy flying. Happy flying as well, because you know what? We do have a Griffin over here, so I can say happy landings. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.